Ladies and gentlemen, could I have your attention, please? We're going to be starting here in about a minute or two. I want to make sure that we can get some folks in from the parking lot. And I know we're probably out of chairs. Tom? We got chairs coming?
We're
out of chairs. We've got a couple up front, and I've got an extra chair here.
Anybody wants to come up and sit up here with us, come on up.
Yeah, come on in, stop at the table. We can put you victim of the month. You got a chair. Oh, you're the press. We need good words like you.
No trouble. You just want to say,
okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we can get started. We want to start right on time almost. For those who don't know me, I'm Mike Oliveira. I'm your District 3 Supervisor. Thank you. It's been a rough week. I know we're going to be here talking about our crime problems here in the Arnold, White Pines, Dorrington area and down towards Avery. I need a favor. I know the hot issue is going to be the cannabis issue. We're going to be talking about that when on the appropriate time. But I want to make sure that we get the most maximum benefit of this meeting. I'm going to have our folks introduce each other, actually introduce themselves, what they do in law enforcement and how they do it. It's going to be very brief, but I want to leave time for Q&A, a lot of questions and answers. We've got 2 microphones. We'll be able to run that microphone to you. So in order to make good use of our time, if you want to speak, please raise the hand and we'll have John Dashner. Raise your hand, John. Where are you? Back in there. And then Tim Muteries right over here. They'll have the mics and they'll bring that mic to you. Okay, with that, I'd like to introduce you, Sheriff of Calaveras County, Rick DiBasillio.
Well, good evening to everybody, and thanks for coming out. I'm sorry that we have to meet on these circumstances. I'm certainly going to be giving you guys some information on what the Sheriff's Office is doing and what we're going to continue to do to make you guys feel safe in your community. Because remember, this is my community. I grew up here in 1978, so I'm with you. I'm going to let these gentlemen introduce themselves, and then I'll bring it back.
My name is Sergeant Gary Soria from the San Andreas office. I'm also the resident post sergeant for the 2 resident post officers up here.
I know many of you. If you don't know who I am, I'm Deputy Joel Burnett. I'm your resident deputy up here. So I patrol the Dorrington, Camp Connell, Arnold, Avery areas.
I'm Sergeant Greg Stark. I'm in charge of the Detective Division. I work with Patrol, and we are in charge of long-term investigations and major crimes.
As you noticed with Joel real quick here, I got somebody as big as I could to try and meet up with Tom.
My name is Officer Joshua Wilkinson. I am with the part of the San Andreas CHP office. I am the resident post CHP officer up in this area. 1 of 2.
Okay, so I'll get right to it. We're here. We have 4 or 5 gentlemen or folks that live in this area that are causing us probably 90% of our problems and your problems. I have flyers up here. I know that somebody else brought in more flyers on Mr. Jimmy Blake Terry. He is the one that we have been running around trying to catch. He, at this point in time, is causing havoc up here. He stole a car out of Murphy's here last week, and CHP ended up pursuing him. He ran across Summit Level Road. And you got to understand something about this young man. He's about, well, young, he's 31 or so now. I've been chasing him around since I was a school resource officer back in 2005. He grew up here. He has a lot of friends up here. He has a lot of family up here, and he knows these woods probably as well as I do, if not better, because Al Corright only chased me around a little bit when I was a kid. So that being said, he's a problem child. As you have seen, I'm sure, you've seen a lot of extra patrol up here. Sergeant Stark has actually been up here with the investigation team. We will catch this young man. Trust me on that. We're doing everything we can. I keep telling everybody, he's kind of like trying to put a a worm on a hook. He's slippery, but we will get him. Again, if you don't know who this young man is, please familiarize yourself with him. He's on our website. His picture is posted there. Again, I have some flyers up here. Don't contact him. Don't try and approach him. Please call us. Let us do our jobs. I don't want anybody getting hurt. I've incorporated some very unconventional things that the investigations and our patrol units that we are doing to actively try and catch this guy. So you know that we have purchased a portable camera system that we're setting up, that's been set up. We're not obviously going to tell anybody where it's at because we don't want him to steal it. That's the truth, I got to be honest. So we are working very diligently to try and get this guy curtailed along with the other folks that are running around with him. I apologize that he is doing what he's doing. Again, he's long-term. He's been doing this his whole life, and I don't know that he knows any better. He is a methamphetamine user also, so that kind of enhances the problem. If I could get Larry to help me out and get him into rehab, it might not be so bad. But we are working on it. And I hate to use the word, but please be patient with us. Again, he's difficult because of the amount of people and the area that he knows so well. We will get him, that I guarantee you. There's a couple of flyers up here. I want people to understand. Proposition 47, that was passed back in 2016. It's called the Safe Schools and Neighborhoods Act. Now, who here would not vote for safe schools and neighborhoods? Well, in fact, in the state of California, we did. Well, in fact, what that did is that took a lot of felonies like methamphetamine use, cocaine use, heroin use, and it made them misdemeanors. Our theft threshold used to be anything over $400 was considered a felony. This fine proposition changed that to $950. That's why we're having so many people walking out of Kmart with TVs on their shoulders, because if they don't get caught, they get away with a TV, and if they get caught, it's a slap on the wrist. I am working diligently with the California State Sheriff's Association, which I'm a part of, and with other entities within the state of California to get this changed. It has to be changed because it's causing problems, because people like Jimmy Terry are out when they should not be out. We keep catching them. Trust me, we're catching these guys. We put them in jail, but the law is allowing them to get out because they have reduced these crimes. There's another proposition, Prop 57, which was voted in by the public. Unfortunately, again, something that they didn't understand is all I can assume. What it does is it's allowing these guys to get out earlier if they are good boys while they're in custody. So you got to remember, our lovely Jerry Brown had to reduce the prison population. There's what they call AB 109, which is an early release program that was implemented. So it's allowing a lot of these guys that typically we would not see out on our streets, on our streets. We keep catching them, we keep putting them into jail, but they keep getting out. That's the system that we have right now, and that's why myself, the State Sheriff's Association, and these other folks are working so diligently on getting Prop 47 changed. That's all I have on what's going on up here. You folks are our best eyes and ears. As you can see right now, I have an officer in the back, Sergeant Chris Dorsey. He's grown up here. He knows this area very well. He resides in your community. I wish I still did, but my wife made me move to Wallace because my mom's 80 years old, so another story. But there are people up here that work this area, that know this area. We will get these guys. It's just going to take a little bit of time, and I please again ask you to be patient. And I know it's hard when your stuff is being stolen and this guy's causing the kind of cane that he is. Did you have anything you want to add on that, Mike?
Yeah, I do. Sheriff. Ladies and gentlemen, the sheriff's absolutely right. You are the eyes and ears up here. my job when I decided I wanted to run for supervisor, I went from enforcing the law to making laws. And I would like to say I'm pretty good at that. I'm not, because these are bad laws. I can influence with my other colleagues, with our mountain communities, our supervisors in Sacramento, as we do as a group through organizations called CSAC, which is the California State Association of Counties, national organizations, national NACO, which is the National Association of Counties, and we have the ears of our legislators in Washington. Does it do us any good? We keep pounding that door, and that's the only way we're going to be able to get these folks to listen to us. So, there's no easy fix to it. It's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take patience, but I'm not willing to give up. The sheriff's not willing to give up. These officers aren't willing to give up, and I can proudly say the sheriff's department, the CHP, will not quit on you. They are doing everything they possibly can to keep you folks safe. Now, if there's anything else, we'll start our question and answer. We've got 2 mics up here. If I could have John come up and Tim. I think the sheriff said that they have enough voice that they can talk without using the mics. So we're going to have some time here, so let's get everybody to participate. Just give us some advance warning, raise your hands. Thank you, folks.
Walk down the line.
First one to raise your hand. Okay.
Hi, my name's, oh, it's not on, is it? Got it on. Put it on, there it is.
There we go.
Hi, my name's Lisa Eccles, and we're part-time residents up here, but spent a lot of time, and we were the unlucky, or maybe lucky for you, victims of Blake Terry breaking into our garage on Sunday, which instituted the chase. And I have to say that this is the second time we've been broken into, so feeling really frustrated and unsafe. It's really hard to come up to a place that you're supposed to relax and enjoy. And I don't care about my stuff. I want you to understand it doesn't matter if he got my tents, he got generated before they've stolen a lot of things. It's they steal your peace of mind, that you don't feel comfortable in your house. Last night I slept with my alarm on, lights on, and I didn't really sleep. And that's frustrating. We're more than happy. We've provided information to Deputy Tramble, who I understand is no longer here, with the department on Monday. We provided video on Sunday right away when it happened. We sent pictures. And then again on Monday morning, because on Nextdoor we posted everything, and we had neighbors who saw him, got a good picture and video of him, so we sent that off as well. We haven't heard any follow-up as to if our, our stuff was recovered, where it's at, where, what the process is. But it was a little bit frustrating that 72 hours went by before any information went out about him being a wanted subject, because so many people are your eyes and ears. We've called in burglaries next door, and matter of fact, Blake Terry, 2 doors down from us, used to go and party on my neighbor's hot tub on his deck every night. He ended up taking his hot tub out because nobody ever caught him and nothing was ever happened. So he's been terrorizing for so long. So just wanting to know how in the world he got away from how many of you guys the other night, and why that chase was called off. We all support you. My husband is 28 years with the police department in the Bay Area, so we love law enforcement and we support you, but we want to feel safe. And want to know that, when we come up here, when we're walking out the door, we're not going to be accosted by this idiot. And it sounds like, he's going to continue to terrorize everybody. And I'm hoping that right now it seems like the marijuana issue is way bigger, and it's out every day and it's on everything, but this needs to be, priority as well. And I did see a lot of law enforcement today, everywhere, stopping everything, so that was really nice to see. So, but I just hope that, that we're thinking about what happens to the value of our properties when people don't want to come here, and the only people who are prospering are the thieves or the security companies. So I'd love for you guys to all work with some of us who have cameras and Nextdoor and maybe the social media more aspect of it as well, to be your eyes and ears. Thank you.
However, some other issues have come up. We haven't been able to serve the search warrant. The detective's job is to collect the evidence, process the car to make sure we get a good prosecution so we get the most time out of it. I did talk to Deputy Tramble before he left. I did talk to him about the video, and I don't think the chase was called off. I think some vehicles got stuck in the road, our vehicles and his vehicles, and we call it foot bail. He ran off into the woods and we lost him. So we took it as far as our cars would go, and he just got away. So we are processing his vehicle. We are going for fingerprints and DNA and everything else. So I hear you. Your thoughts are valid. It's very difficult, and it's unfortunate that a community as beautiful as this just takes a couple guys to ruin it. And I understand how you feel, and we're working hard to prevent that. Some of the unconventional stuff that we're doing, you may not see us out, and that's a good thing. We've changed our tactics a little bit, and that's why you saw so many vehicles. We're not sticking with the same thing. We're trying a multitude of things. So I understand what you're saying.
We're getting a lot of support from the district attorney. She's very helpful. I want to go back real quick about the marijuana thing. Marijuana is a big, you're seeing it in the community because that's what's out there in the news. But believe me, we're not just working marijuana. We are working these cases. This isn't the only area that has burglary problems. The detectives are very busy everywhere. You just don't see that in the news because it's not so news media worthy, I guess. Marijuana is top on everybody's list. Back to your question. The DA is very supportive. The problem is that when they go to jail, the judges are reducing their sentences for either time served while they're in jail or when they get out of jail, they're letting them out because it's a misdemeanor. Until we get them with a felony.
Once we get them with a felony, that changes everything. It gives them the ability, depending on the felony, as to whether they go to state prison or they stay here in Calaveras County. Again, that's part of AB 109, the realignment program, where we used to take these guys that committed almost any felony and they went straight to state prison. Well, Governor Brown said, hey, we're too full, we can't take any more. You guys in the counties get to keep them now. So we get them, but they end up with reduced sentences. I think right now the longest term person I have that is doing a sentence under a felony in our county is 5 years. And typically, if they were in state prison, it's 6 or 8 years. So again, it's part of that, the AB 109, the Prop 47, and the Prop 57 that is allowing these guys to get out. It's the law that our lovely governor put into place. It's really got nothing to do with the DA or the judges because they're doing their jobs. It's, if they do go to state prison, they sit around and they play good boy and then they get let out early. That's the problem.
Do you have any recommendations on what we can do as a community, a group of people in small towns, not just here? Who do we appeal to change that? A felony is a felony, a misdemeanor is a misdemeanor. When they get out, they kick it up a notch and they start committing more violent and worse crimes. Can you give us some suggestions on where we go to that? We value your opinion.
Well, that's part of what I was telling you about that myself, the State Sheriff's Association, and some other entities are working to get Prop 47 changed. That's going to change a lot of things. It's getting it changed. You got to remember, proposition is what's voted on by the people, so it takes a vote of the people to get it changed. And I hate to use the terminology, but when you have the state of San Francisco and the state of LA ruling the roost, it makes it very difficult to get those things changed. Back to finish up on your question, write your legislators. Tell them. Those are the people that can make those changes.
Hello? Can you hear me? So anyway, I just wanted to, I seen more sheriffs today in Arnold, California when I went to the bank and to the post office, and they had somebody pulled over right next to El Dorado Savings. And I seen one in front, one in back, and then another one I followed from the post office, another one down on Henry, where it runs into Blagan Road. I appreciate this help, but I think a lot of people here ought to know about politics, okay? I'll be 76. January 24th this year. And I had my truck stolen right out from underneath my deck, and the keys were in the centerfold of the truck. They had to turn sideways to get into the truck. They found it 6 days later at Sam Barry Towing. I paid the money. I bought a bunch of stolen stuff that was in the back of my truck. They put it back in. I had an estimate from the body shop there in Avery.
Otto Smith.
Otto Smith. And it was $18,000. It's a 2005 Jimmy. Okay? The estimate for insurance purposes was $18,878.79. Okay? But anyway, Mr. Wilkerson from Vallecito showed up, and we went over the whole thing. But my dog, Snoopy, was out barking the morning it got stolen. Okay? Well, I was in my bathrobe, house shoes, and I just let her out. She went out there and barked and barked, and finally an hour and a half later, I went out and got her. But I didn't notice my truck was gone until 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay? Well, I screwed up. I didn't lock up my truck. Well, I lock it now. But believe me, it's politics are involved in this too, like you were saying. Just like our supervisor said. And hey, we ain't a clean world, but with all the people that showed up, I appreciate seeing a lot of people I know here. And I'm glad to hear the comments, and I will shut up. But God bless you all. Hey, we support the law enforcement. We support the supervisor. And, you know, this is Calvert County of 43,000 something. Good luck, everybody, and we'll all work together on this.
If you folks are going to leave, please lock your houses. If you have alarms, turn your alarms on. Lock your cars, take the keys out of the car. And so, again, I moved up here in '78. I don't think I have ever taken the keys out of my car living up here. But we're in different times now, and we need to. Where I live in Wallace now, I have a big dog, and I have a gate. But for the folks that live up here who live in these subdivisions, please protect yourselves. If you can and you can afford it and you want to, please put up video surveillance systems. Inside, outside. I understand it's a cost, but it's going to protect you. When I was working up here as a deputy about 8 years ago, I took a burglary on Elizabeth Drive, and I lived on Elizabeth Drive, and I know that 90% of those homes are unoccupied. They're vacation homes, as a lot of our homes are up here. And as a young lady just said, that they come up here to visit. And out of 23 homes, 12 of them had been broken into, and all I had to do was follow the tracks in the snow between the houses, and they just went to each one. The ones that had alarm signs on them or alarms outside, they walked right by. So I'm not saying that that's the best thing, but it's a start. So try and protect yourself as much as you can. And to talk a little bit more about Bill, lock your stuff up. We don't know who's out there, and obviously we don't have some good people in this area in the state of California. We're having issues. It's just this early release thing is killing us. So please do everything you can to protect yourself. Oh, he's got.
Hi, Amy from the Byway. First of all, I want to say if you guys see something, call the sheriffs. If something's suspicious, call the sheriffs. Talk to your people that are part-timers, talk to them, get their permission to walk around the lot and make sure that everything looks right. Work as a team, work as neighborhood watch, since we don't have a formal neighborhood watch here, and we should. I also wanted to thank the sheriffs. Earlier today, we had to call the sheriffs out because 2 suspicious people were walking, and as soon as Nick saw them, they ducked into the forest, and they did a really great time on response time. But also I wanted to say that in the past before this, response times have been a little bit slower, and I'm wondering if we can work on response times a little bit better, because I've waited 45 minutes up to an hour for you guys at times.
You guys, please, if you see something, you absolutely have to call it in. What you see may be the piece of the puzzle that we're looking for. You might think it's insignificant, but that could be now we have somewhere to go, that's the part we needed. And to answer your time about response times, at any given time, typically there's 3 deputies in the county on patrol. There's one on this side of the county, there's one in the Valley Springs West Point area, and there's one that goes back and forth. And I'm not saying that your problems aren't important, but we have to prioritize the calls for crimes against persons, crimes in progress. We absolutely get them when we can.
How did we get more funding for more sheriff's officers then? So we definitely need more.
There's actually there's a couple of ways you can do it, and I hate to use the TAX word, and it's real. We have been trying to raise our Transient Occupancy Tax. It's a TOT tax, and that tax is based on hotels and Airbnbs and stuff like that. That money does not come out of our pockets as community members. It comes out of the people that come to visit us. I know that anytime you go, anywhere you go and you stay at a hotel, you pay a TOT tax. Our TOT tax is 6% and most everybody else is 10%. That's a part of it if we can get the TOT tax raised. I've talked in the past about maybe doing a first responder to include fire, although you guys as fire departments up here have been funded through a tax that you guys have done, and that's fantastic. They tried it down in the West County, it didn't work, but if you do a first responder tax, those monies could go directly to first responders, which would help us. The biggest, I see hands up, so hang tough. The biggest issue that we're having right now is, we talked about Deputy Tramble, he left. People are leaving this department, and I don't know how many people here by raise of hands watched the board meeting that I spoke to Wednesday morning. Not very many of you. I have a deputy who just left. Actually, I've had 3 that just have left. They've all left for more money. I have a deputy that starting pay for a deputy up here is $23.76 an hour. After 4 years, he was making $27.09. He went to Stockton and starts at $43 an hour. So as a past employer, in a construction company that I had, I can't blame these guys for going to make more money because it boosts their retirement and it gives them some livelihood. I have a young man who is living here in Arnold in his grandmother's house at a very reduced rate of rent, and he still quit and ended up going down to Burlingame. So they're leaving because of the lack of pay. I know that the supervisors are working on that. It's figuring out where the money is going to come from. A tax is one way to do that. Young lady, you had a question.
I did.
Go ahead and stand up so we can see your pretty face.
Oh, thanks.
Hi, Christy Ullman, and I had a question. Given the nature that we're dealing with right now with the laws that are in place, what are the programs that we have in the county to help to reduce recidivism? Do we have like drug courts or day reporting centers? Do we have anything that tries to work at, as long as we've got them, can we reduce their probability to recommit crimes?
Absolutely.
We do. We have, there is drug court. We have mental health services inside the jail now. We have a clinician that's on scene all the time. And we also have one that will go out and assist the deputies out in the field if they have to deal with somebody that has mental health issues. As far as recidivism, yes, we have programs available in the jail. The problem is these guys, when they come in, typically, not all of them, but a good portion of them are hooked on some type of a drug. They come in, they get clean, they go back out and hang out with the same guys again. And they get right back into it. I have a young man that I've known for many, many years. He was a very good welder and got into methamphetamine, and he can't get away from it. He keeps going back. He gets clean and he goes back. He gets clean and he goes back. It is a very addictive drug. All these drugs are very, very addictive. And I've never used any of those, but I hear that they're like 10 times worse than like cigarettes and caffeine. So, a young lady there had a question in the back.
I live on Pine Drive, had my car broken into and items were stolen, and at that time it was a young man named Jared. And I'm wondering, and I've seen him back in town, and I'm wondering if maybe you're looking into him also, because I've been hearing that the same type of scenarios are happening along Pine Drive again, and back when that happened, I actually had to go out and I found him with my items. And so I was kind of disheartened that when I talked to the sheriff, that he just took my report and then he left when there were definite items going through the golf course all the way to Cedar Center, and that's where I found him. And then I called you guys and we got him arrested, but he's back in town, and so that might be another suspect you want to look into.
Again, there are at least 4 or 5 guys I know of that we are actively looking at. And I don't want to throw a whole bunch of names out there, but we are looking at a handful of people right now.
So my question is, how can we get people, cops to respond better? I've seen Blake Terry at 1920 Stag. I have a picture of Blake Terry on the back deck. I've seen him driving the green Subaru that's there. I had him down in my parking lot on camera in the green Subaru. I call you guys, and it's 45 minutes. Nobody even shows up.
Again, we're back to what Sergeant Stark said. We have 3 people. If our deputy happens to be down in Copperopolis on a domestic violence call, it's going to take him some time to get back here. That's where we need more officers up here.
For 4 weeks now, Bill McClure's seen Blake Terry at their house across the street. People have been calling left and right, and nobody's even showed up over there to do anything about it. We've known where he's been. Your own paper says he's flashing on addresses.
No, that was a misprint and it's been redacted. If you look at the new one, it shows address unknown because somebody called, and I have to assume it's this young man here, that said that he has not been there. Again, the information that we get from people, if you tell us he's there, we're going to go and check. You might not see us because we have undercover cars driving around too. So you might not see a marked unit drive by, but it doesn't mean we're not checking.
Okay. I just want to say that I live in a neighborhood that went through 2 years of torture. And one of the things that our neighborhood did, and I see a lot of my neighbors in this room tonight, is start a neighborhood watch program. Everybody's emails were collected. We shared those emails. Everybody collected license plate numbers. We took photos of the cars. A lot of us have cameras on our houses. It took 2 years to get this guy. He would get arrested. There wouldn't be enough charges to keep him. He would get right back out. It wasn't that the sheriff wasn't helping us doing their job. They met with us at every call, and they collected the license plate numbers from us on a regular basis, and in the end result, that is how he got caught. And when he did get caught the last time, it was permanent. He's upstate. But I will say that the Sheriff's Department is willing to work with our neighborhood watch programs. They listen to us, they take our emails, they take the license plates, they say thank you for helping us, but you got to pick up the phone and call. Originally, most of our neighbors were afraid to call because we're afraid of retaliation. What are they going to do to our houses when we're at work or we're gone? So it's fearful. Most people won't call, or they won't give the sheriff the information they need. They won't take photos. They're afraid they'll have to testify. I will tell you that of all the neighbors that were reporting it, not one of them had to testify. The Sheriff's Department did their job, the DA did their job, and it was taken care of. I, for one, am very grateful for that. Put neighborhood watch programs together, get to know your out-of-area neighbors, get their emails, share data with each other. I'm going to be out of town, keep an eye on each other's house. It worked for us. So, and the only other thing I'll say is that Prop 47 is definitely in the way. And when you talk about how did the Sheriff's Department, how did CHP lose them? Well, first of all, I know from experience in my neighborhood, when he's driving 85 miles an hour, the sheriff cannot do that because we risk killing somebody. They have to back off. So we have to give him some credit when he's going through the subdivisions. And also, our guy went out into the forest and fired off the gun, telling the deputy to come and get it. Deputies can't see behind trees. They have to back off. So we have to give a little respect, and we have to understand what our law enforcement is facing when they're out on the street. So thank you very much. Yes.
I got one right here, Tim.
Hi, my name is Chris. I'm a former 82nd Airborne veteran, and I'm all for police officers. I want more sheriff deputies and police officers up here. I want them better paid, but I'm concerned how this ban is going to affect your budget and how many officers or deputies we're going to have. How is this going to affect our budget? How is this going to affect manpower and profits to go for law enforcement?
Well, that's another issue that we'll talk about, because I know this can be a big issue, but I will tell you at this point in time, the Board of Supervisors is letting me keep my marijuana team. So at this point, we're status quo, so it's not going anywhere. So we will continue moving forward in the direction we have been. And again, if you're on Facebook, on the Keller Sheriff's Office Facebook, or on my personal Facebook, you'll see that we've been hitting all these illegal grows every week. We're doing at least 1 or 2, 3 a week, every week.
Can we take one of those people and bring them up to Arnold?
One of what people?
Somebody that whoever we're keeping.
Oh,
Is it code enforcement different than the deputy?
Code enforcement is completely different from the deputies. And the illegal grows are still here. They're going to be here whether we have a ban in June or whether we have regulation in June. They're not going to go anywhere, so that team needs to stay in place.
How much money do we lose?
Rick, I can take care of that.
Well, we get to that. We'll get there.
Paul Kelman, Hathaway Pines.
I like the hat.
Thank you. I do too. I know you guys are doing the best job you can, but I see a problem with our justice system in plea bargaining. I mean, you bust a guy for 5 counts of different counts, and they will bargain it down to pleading guilty on 1, put him away for a few months and let him go. Is there any force that can be, or leverage that can be brought on the district attorney's office, such as declaring a state of emergency or using politicians to stop plea bargaining and let all 5 charges run consecutively? You know, the answer is to put them away, not to slap them on the wrist. Thank you.
I agree, and the best thing you can do is email the district attorney. Let her know how you guys are feeling, that these guys need to be doing full terms. Hopefully it changes. Again, we're law enforcement. We enforce the laws, and then once we catch them, we put them in jail, and then it falls back to the, as you just said, the court, the DA, and what the courts do.
We save money, but we pay the cost.
Well,
Absolutely right, sir.
yeah, I mean,
Absolutely right.
we save money in the sense that they get out of the jail earlier, but other than that, in the long run, us as citizens, and again, remember, I live here, I pay my taxes too, so it's costing me. And just so Bill knows, my motorcycle was stolen out from underneath my deck right here in Arnold too, so. I got one right here, hang on.
Hi, I'm Patty and I'm from Meadowmont, and I'm new, so I know some of my friends told me about, it's called Next Door.
I probably can talk louder than this.
Okay, I was coming home and thank God for you guys, because I saw 8 cops, you know, and sheriffs come in the night that you guys had your break-in. I was unnerved, you know, what's going on up here. I just moved up here in April. Yes, I want to do a neighborhood watch and I'll spearhead it and I'll do whatever, but as a community, how do we communicate that there's an issue out there? I text a couple of my friends, hey, let me know about this guy. So I think opening up the communication as well as our, Arnold family here, I want to know how can we communicate better.
Well, I know there's what she talked about. There's, was it Upper Highway 4 corridor on Facebook? That's another way that you folks communicate, because I'm on that webpage too.
It's called what? I'm sorry.
Upper Highway, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, it's Upper Highway 4 corridor. Yeah. And the neighborhood watch is the best thing. And again, when we get done this evening, please come up and talk to Joel Burnett, your resident deputy. He will get your information, and we will see about getting the neighborhood watch programs going where they are not. I know there are a lot of them in the area already, but the more the merrier, absolutely. You had a question. Oh, wait a minute, real quick, they have one in the back, and then I'll get to you guys.
Rick, I'm Pete Padelford. A lot of you know me. I lived up here for 30 years. I'm also head of a program called the Do-Wooders. And the Do-Wooders had their shed broken into and $2 shy of $5,000 worth of equipment stolen out of it. Will that put a guy away, or will they be able to plea bargain that down?
I can't answer that because that's on the DA. It should. It absolutely should, because it's above that $950 range. It makes it a felony. but I can't speak for the district attorney and what they do. We catch them, they get to clean them, basically. They're the ones that decide how long they're going to do in jail.
Hello, I'm Michelle Ellison, and this is my husband, Jeff Ellison. And I just wanted to clear up some things that have been talked about on pinetree.net, and I'm sure around the community, that are false accusations. As you might have heard a gentleman back there saying to everyone that this is Blake Terry, here he is, and this is not Blake Terry. We don't associate with Blake Terry, nor would we have those kind of people around our lives. I have children. I don't want to bring criminals around my kids. I love them very much. So for the people who say that they have seen Blake Terry at my residence, 1920 SAG, yes, we just moved there, perhaps they are misidentifying him for this man here, because that is Jeff Ellison, and we're not thieves. I really don't like thieves, honestly. So I just wanted to let everybody know that that's not correct information, and thank you very much for listening.
And for those of you that don't know, if you haven't seen the flyer, Blake Terry's, I think it says he's 6'1", but he's more than that. He's about, it says 6'2", but he's taller than I am. I'm 6'4". He's about 6'4", he's about 180 pounds. He's a very tall young man. If you haven't seen him again, go to our website, and I do have more flyers up here. At Tim.
Nothing too short. My name's Steve. I'm from Meadowmont. Earlier the year, there was some discussion about the budget, and there was some discussion about we may lose as many as 10, 11, or 12 positions in the sheriff's department. I know that we're losing just from attrition, as you said. We just lost a couple, and we may lose a couple more because of the salary. Where are we going to lose these people now? Are they going to be going from patrol or criminal investigation or radio or where? Is there a plan in place to maybe alleviate that? I mean, 10 positions from a department your size, that's a lot of folks.
We're not going to lose 10 positions. I don't know where that came out. We are down probably 8 positions right now, and with people leaving, it might go up to that 10 position spot. Right now I have 2 guys starting on the 22nd of this month. I have 3 guys on the training program right now, so they're running in pairs right now, and I have 3 in the academy as we speak that will be graduating in June. So our numbers, they do the roller coaster. We hire people stay and then they leave because they can go make more money because they've got some training. And we've talked about that in past board meetings as a training ground. So we're not going to be down more than 10 people, so we're not going to be down that many. We're already there. Those are positions that I would like to be able to fill, but it has nothing to do with the supervisors because those are positions we just can't fill because we can't get people. I was looking through a PORAC magazine, which is a police officer's magazine that goes out, and there are departments out there offering $25,000 sign-on bonuses. I'm offering $5,000, and that comes out of my budget. It comes out, and I can't compete with that. That's huge money. So we live in an area that is difficult because it's a low economic county. Like I said, I've been in the county for 40 years. San Andreas is a county seat, is a ghost town back in 1978 when I moved here, and it's still a ghost town. We have not allowed this county to grow. I've watched Amador, and I see Bill back there nodding his head. I've seen Amador and Tuolumne counties prosper. They've let stuff in. Our past Board of Supervisors have stifled us with charging multiple hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get businesses started. It's been very difficult. My wife's trying to open a flower business, and not pot flowers, flowers. Just want to be clear. And the hoops that she has to jump through is it's crazy. I know I talked to Larry. Larry started a business here in Arnold, and it's time consuming and it's costly. So when I hear people say that we need to start bringing some economic growth to this county, we're so far behind the 8 ball now, I don't know if it's possible. We took out the railroad tracks where we used to have the cement plant. The logging companies have pulled out of here. They're not logging like they used to. I mean, well, they're going to aluminum buildings too. So there's just a whole lot of things that go on that make this difficult. And it's difficult for the Board of Supervisors because they only have so much money coming in and they have to divvy it out. My opinion is they better start divvying it out better to the sheriff's office. And I'm not dissing on Mike at all. They need to understand that, and I've said this before at the Board of Supervisors meeting, if we want businesses to prosper in this community, we have to have people. And if people don't feel safe in this community, they're not going to come here. I need to make this community safe so that you guys talk to your friends in the Bay Area and say, hey, come to Arnold, come to Murphy's. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to raise your kids, and it's safe. That's going to bring people. Well, once you start getting people in, then the businesses will go, holy crap, we need to get up there. There's a lot of money we're losing out on. So it's a cycle, but it has to start at the bottom. And unfortunately, the sheriff's office is at the bottom. And the other unfortunate part is that we take the biggest hit because we have the biggest budget. So when the county has to start cutting funds, they start cutting funds from the sheriff's office, and it needs to stop.
My name's Tom Stevens, and I noticed on Nextdoor there was the flyer for Terry, the most wanted in Colorado County. I noticed it yesterday and I thought, that's fantastic to have a flyer out. Am I missing something? But is there a way that maybe the volunteer sheriffs could plaster these all over? Yeah, the wanted posters for guys that people are looking for.
Well, when you say plaster, I don't want to litter our community with paperwork. I mean, we put it on our Facebook page. We put it on the sheriff's site. I'm pretty sure, well, there may not be a sign up at the substation here in Arnold, but we can get one up at the substation. And this right here, you folks, I mean, look at how many people are here. You guys are our eyes and ears. There are a lot more of you than there are of us. And like Sergeant Stark said, do not hesitate to call us. What you think is minor, a dog barking. If your dogs don't normally bark, there's a clue. Call in. Go check and see what's going on. Please don't get hurt, but look and see. If you see something, please call us.
Couldn't put them up on bulletin boards
Post office.
We can. I will do that. I will get the volunteers to start posting these things up at the post offices and any bulletin boards. I know they have them at Meadowmont, at the old Meadowmont. They have them down at Big Trees Market. Absolutely.
That'd be great. Thank
Absolutely.
I'll volunteer to help put them up.
Rick, I told you that I have 20 of these made up that came out of the pinetree.net deal. And I think that they should be on every door of every business where people push the door to go in. And if we can get people to put them up in those businesses, and if there are business people here today, take one and put it up on your door in your business so when they go to come in, they see it right in front of their face.
I can have volunteers also go to business and see if they're willing to do that. Absolutely. Our volunteers, I gotta give them kudos. They are absolutely fantastic. They do so much, and the raises that they get are very, very minimal because they work for free. They're phenomenal. They are invaluable to the sheriff's office. Believe me.
Just a comment about the flyer. Hi, my name is Paula. I live in Meadowmont, and our truck was broken into as well. So they did still just some random things. We did call the sheriff that night, or the next morning when we found out, and we filed a report. Sheriff was a little cooperative, told us, we'll see what we can, but since there was nothing substantial, what can we do? So that was a little unnerving. So, time went on. We heard about this meeting, and, just have been looking forward to it, just so we could speak our mind, because we don't feel safe. We don't sleep well at night. We don't, every time the motion sensor goes on, we're awake. If the car slows down, are they here? We've had to call the sheriff 3 times now. Second time they actually came out because there was a car that was abandoned two doors down with people just kind of wandering with gas cans. We did see them come out, which, I know you guys are undercover, which is great, but at the same time, it is
comforting to know that somebody is patrolling and somebody is answering when we file, or making these calls. 2 nights ago, I called again because we saw on the Tuolumne website, or on Pine Tree, wherever, that in Tuolumne there was a theft at Walmart where they stole this woman's purse and her cell phone, and they went shopping on her credit card. We saw that truck in the Blagan Road Apartments. It was camouflaged. They tried to put a camper shell on it. 99% sure. I called the sheriff. I said, hey, that truck you're looking for, it's here. They go, okay, well, thank you for the information. We'll get back to you. Can we call you back to give you the update and let you know how that turns out? I said, yes, please. Here's my home phone. Here's my cell phone. Call us. 3 hours later, it was from 2:30, 8 o'clock, we go and check. That truck is still there. We never got an update on whether or not. So I called Tuolumne Sheriff and then Tuolumne Police Department, because that was the number that was listed. And they said, yes, we are aware, there's only so much we can do, we're going to talk to the DA, we've got to put out a warrant for the arrest of who it belongs to. Next morning, the truck was gone. So I don't know I never got the update saying, yes, we are taking care of it. I had to, kind of call around to different departments to try to get an answer. Goes back to, I don't feel comfortable. I don't sleep well at night, and it does concern me. Like, I'm glad to see that we are going to do a neighborhood watch. I've already talked to my neighbors. I'm here with my neighbors, which is great. But when I do make the call and I take that stand, I do want a response. I do want to know that you guys actually, I looked in the police log. I didn't see any of my reports, any of my complaints. That's a little unnerving. But I'm glad to see you guys here today. I did see 4 or 5 cops as well. Sheriffs. Today. But not last week or my calls.
Well, I apologize for that. I will find out what happened. I know that Tuolumne was actually in our county a couple days back doing some surveillance. Now, whether it was part of that or not, I don't know. And we don't want to burn their cover, basically, by going and making contact if they were trying to contact themselves. And if they came out of Tuolumne, there could be a whole lot more to it that you don't know. And we can't indulge that information to you over the phone because we don't know who you are. You could be the person that we're looking for, or that Tuolumne was looking for, and if we call you up and say, yeah, Tuolumne's watching them right now, you go, shit, I'm out of here. So you have to, I understand your frustration, but you have to understand the way that we work, and there's a lot of times that we can't tell the public what we're doing because it could jeopardize the case, or it could allow the bad guy to get away. So I apologize for that, but I don't know all the circumstances of it. I'm just telling you what could happen. He gave that as a last known address. That was what we had on file, was my understanding. But I don't know if it was you that called and talked to Captain Macedo. Okay, and it got removed.
Right, and I just want to make sure the ones that are posted don't have that address on there.
Everything was supposed to have been pulled.
Yep. Right, but this gentleman said he printed off, several, and I just wanted to make sure that it...
If you guys have anything that has an address on it that has anything for Blake Terry other than unknown, because at this point we do not know that he has a residence anywhere, please discard them, because that's fair to them. He doesn't live there. I got one right here real quick, Tim.
It is real quick. If you dial 911, does that go out of area?
It depends on what cell.
When you dial 911, it depends on what cell tower you're hit. It could go to Amador, it could go to Tuolumne, it could go to CHP. Most of the time it goes to our sheriff's office. Landlines go to us. Yeah, but cell's a different ballgame. He said cell.
I called 911 a couple years ago. I think it went to CHP Stockton.
They dispatch for CHP. All dispatch for CHP comes out of Stockton.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
Hi, Linda Briscoe, and I live in Meadowmont. I've been up here about a year. I retired from the Alameda County Sheriff's Department, one of the best organizations in the state, if not the country. A great man there told me, if you don't feel safe walking to the library, walking to pay your taxes, or going to the parks, you're not going to do that. So regardless, we need more deputies in this county. This group needs to meet up and speak before the Board of Supervisors and make sure the Sheriff's Department is no longer the last on the list of priorities. That's the only thing that's going to bring people in here. And you need to be creative in getting your people on board, and it can be done. But this is a common problem. Crime is rampant all over. Oakland is the same. We came up here to live in a safe place. Relatively speaking, we're pretty happy. But, you know, neighborhood watch, speaking up, and just doing your part and doing the right thing is going to be making a large difference around here. But we need to go before the board and tell them, you guys need to do something with law enforcement in this county.
Ma'am, I agree with you 100% plus some. I'm retired from the Oakland Police Department. I know exactly what you're saying. And I kind of wanted to lay back and let you folks talk. And let the sheriff respond and let him talk and let his staff talk. But now it's time for me to talk. I want to address the problem of not manning, not fulfilling our obligations on the sheriff's department. For those folks who have been around 10 to 15 years, we haven't seen a real economic gain in this county. And during that time period, our services have been cut and reduced because we had to. About 4 years ago, we started seeing some daylight. Then we started to breathe fire. Then we lost our sheriff in office. And ladies and gentlemen, especially those folks in law enforcement here, and I know who you are because you know me, that is devastating to a police department or a sheriff's department. Then you throw on the problems that we have with our tree mortality. Then you throw on our storm damage. Then you throw on the cannabis problems. But I am proud to say that going into this year, we were able to sit down, and right now we're in contract negotiations. As a matter of fact, folks, we're in contract negotiations with the DSA. The president of the DSA is Sergeant Stark. We're in contract negotiations with SIEU, our other county employees. And I'm happy to say that being part of that, and I can't go into details, but we made some great progress for everybody. And those things are now being reviewed. That was 24 hours ago. I'm not as happy as I was 24 hours ago. We worked hard, and I say we, the people in this county. I worked hard, our sheriffs worked hard, our public employees worked hard, our middle management worked hard, our elected officials worked hard. And they've been working hard. But they've always been pushed back. They took one step forward and pushed it back too. Our current situation we're going to talk about, I know everybody wants to talk about cannabis. We'll talk about it a little bit later on. But I want you to know that we are trying to get our people. We are trying to put the butts in the seats, if you will, the boots on the ground. We're trying to bring those standards up so we can recruit good people for our law enforcement public safety. But the competition is very stiff. We are the 4th lowest paid law enforcement agency in the state of California. Think about that. That's county sheriffs, city municipalities, state police agencies, CHP. Yeah, we try hard, folks. We try real hard. I wish we had a grocery store shelf that we can go up there and grab a deputy, put him in a car, and get him out here. We hire a deputy, we're going to see him in 7 to 8 months. By the time he goes through the academy, by the time he's trained in the field training program, you know, you mentioned the Oakland Police Department. There's an old cliche, and I'm an old guy, folks. I retired a long time ago. But the theory was that that police officer that you hired wasn't worth his salt until he had 3 years experience to go out there and do the job that these folks do. Fortunately, we've got a great training staff up here. and we can excel a little bit, but that swinging door is hurting us. It's killing us. I'm not going to turn this into a political speech. I don't want to be up here saying I'm just looking for a spot on the board. I've been on the board. But more importantly, I've been in those seats. I've been the resident deputy up here. I know what this county is. I know what District 3 is. I know the problems that we are facing, not only in law enforcement, but as citizens. There is no easy answer, and I will not lie to you. We are working on it. We got set back yesterday. That doesn't mean we're out. We're going to work. And you're going to hear that ugly word maybe, the T word, the tax word. We have options that we have to look at. But there's other sources. The sheriff mentioned the tot tax, Transient Occupancy Tax. That's your hotel tax. That's a tax that has to be approved by the board to put it on the ballot. And then your folks are going to vote on it. That's going to provide, at this time we're looking into it, that's going to provide dedicated funds for 4 agencies or 4 departments. Law enforcement, public safety, fire department, our road department, think we need that there? And our Visitors Bureau and Chamber of Commerce. Why are we going to give money to the Visitors Bureau and Chamber of Commerce? They're our marketing crew, folks. They're the people that bring up our transient occupant people. That spend their monies in our restaurants and buy our gas and go to Bear Valley and go to Ironstone and visit our county. But we're going to ask you to pass the tax. We're going to ask you that you don't like to pay taxes. I don't like to pay taxes. But we're going to ask you to pass the tax that other people are going to pay, hopefully. But that dirty word, that tax word. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what's going to happen out of this cannabis situation, but I'll tell you right now, it is devastating for the economy. We got to find a way to make this up. We got to find a way. It's not over with yet. But one of the options is called a public safety tax. And that's going to come out of your pocket. It's going to come out of my pocket. Is it going to happen? I don't know. Because you have to vote it in. We don't have a bucket of money. But Sheriff DiBasillio's right. We will not make Calaveras County unsafe. I will make that promise to you. We need to do a lot of work, don't we? We need to do a lot of work. So get prepared, folks. Yes, sir. Ma'am, I'm sorry.
I just want to know, will the sheriff and all the law enforcement be paid more if we have more retail?
Yeah.
That is a revenue source, ma'am, with your retail sales tax. But let's face reality. 20 years ago, when the big box stores come in and said, we want to do this. 18 years ago, when the call center from AAA came to Calaveras County and said, we want to put a call center here. Now, everybody know what a call center is? Yeah. You got a building. You got 3 or 4 stories in there. You got people in there answering phone calls for services. What happened to that project? Not in my backyard. That's what happened. I'm working on projects right now. We talked about our youth, and we're dovetailing in law enforcement on this. What happens to our folks that don't go to college? Well, they leave town, or they get in trouble. We're working on what's called a career technical program in our high school, starting in freshmen, and trying to get people interested in the trades, medical service, law enforcement, fire science, fire safety, state traffic officer. You know, being a law enforcement guy is not a real fun job right now. We're working on that. But we got to take care of immediate needs, and that is, we got to keep you safe. One more question, and I'm going to get the mic back to the folks. I'm sorry, I apologize, folks. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
With the lady from Alameda County saying, you know, we're the first cut, that's the worst case scenario you could ask for in a district like ours. What about an assessment for law enforcement? I know different special districts, departments have done it. We need to get the pay up for these guys. These guys go through hell in the academy. They leave their families, and they come back and they give their all to this county, and they're not making enough to even survive up here. What is the ability of that?
That's an option we're looking at. It's an option we're looking at. We're trying to look at all options, folks. And it's that serious. It's that serious. I don't have those answers yet. Things change the last 24 hours, next 48 hours. Heck, the next 2 months are going to be very instrumental of what happens. I'm going to turn this back to the Sheriff. It's his show. I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me speak on that issue.
Yeah, Rick.
I got one more question for Mike. So get over there, Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Rick. He's my friend, a former Marine, an outstanding individual.
Since 1970. I worked in the jail. I know the area quite well. My question is, back in, I can't remember the exact time, but for people that have been up here, they should know. At one time, Target wanted to move up here. Right. Does everybody remember that? Yep. Target wanted to move up here. Now, I don't know if it was the county or the city of Angels, because it was going to go in down there where Starbucks is. But they put up so many damn regulations that they had to do and stuff that Starbucks said, the hell with it. Target, I'm sorry. It went some, yeah, I'm old. So why... They put up so many regulations. We need some big box stores up here. All of us people that live up here, like I said, I've been here since say we have to go to Jackson, we have to go down to the valley, we have to go to Amador to buy things. This county needs to put some of that stuff in and cut out all the stupid regulations that they have so these companies will come in. Target said to hell with you.
You're absolutely right, Rick, and I'll tell you why. Right. I'm working on some programs along with other supervisors. I'm not doing this all by myself, folks. I'm not going to take the credit for that. There are other supervisors, past supervisors, and a couple of present supervisors that are working on that project to make this a business-friendly atmosphere. We talk about the past. Well, they did exactly what they wanted to do. You see those box stores in Amador County. You see them in Tuolumne. You see them in San Joaquin. And look at the population and look at their marketing value, and we're stuck in the middle. We missed that boat, didn't we?
It's not too late.
Bring them in.
Bring it back.
I'm not giving up. We're going to try. We got to start small sometimes, and we did with the dollar store, didn't we? Remember that? Oh, the controversy on that. Greatest thing Arnold ever did.
I have something to say about Dollar General.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm with my homeowner association. Our Meadowmont Homeowner Association is getting complaints, one right after the other, because of the activity that's going on around Dollar General, the activity that's going through the people's lots that live behind them on Meadowview, and
how many complaints have you got about that, Sheriff?
I don't know personally, but that doesn't mean that they
Have you made complaints to the Sheriff's Department?
yeah, they have. They've made complaints to the sheriff's department. Our homeowner association is not a police department. We're here to help people and direct them in which way to go. So we told them to call the sheriff's department. But I just want there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 deputies here, plus 4 deputies. Oh, I'm sorry, the CHP guys. And
they're cops too.
Yeah, I know, but they're law enforcement. And it's something that they need to be aware of at night to drive through there, because that's when the activity is going to be. I mean, they're not going to be out in the daylight.
I can tell you we have received some complaints, and I can tell you the detective division has looked into those complaints, and that's all I can say. And for the rest of you folks, Joel Burnett is the resident deputy up here. In our department, like the lady said back there, sometimes you don't get a call back as fast as you like. Sometimes you don't get the answers you like. Joel Burnett is the guy to go to for your area.
But something is better than nothing, whether it's right or wrong. Or
I agree with you. The sheriff put Joel Burnett up here to be your voice to us.
Right.
So your complaints, the neighborhood watch, things of that nature, get filtered through Joel. Joel's the clearinghouse, and he sends them to the correct department, detectives, whoever. He is your guy. He's very good at it. I've worked with him quite often. So if you can't get a hold of somebody, Joel Burnett, and he'll be your clearinghouse to give it to the right department, the right person. It may take a minute, but we will get back to you. So
in the neighborhood watch that I run, that's not technically in our area where our neighborhood watch is.
we will work with you. We'll work with you. We've worked together. Yeah, we'll work.
Oh, just a question. This kind of ties into yesterday's meeting. Is there a possible positive spin on it? I know that the county has legal exposure and everything else from a lot of different angles. If the gets on the ballot initiative and it's passed as a publicly passed initiative rather than a county-sponsored ordinance, could the county actually be better off financially or have less risk, as far as liability and everything else? What I'm saying is there a possibility that, as bad as yesterday's decision was, that come June, you are light years ahead of where you were before?
I want to address that after we get all the crime issues done. I mean, it's their meeting, and I'll talk about it, but I want to make sure we get everybody on.
Go ahead, Tim.
Just a couple of questions. What is the best number to call? Is it 911 or is it the sheriff's department?
If it's an emergency, absolutely 911. If you're calling to give information, you call the 754-6500 number.
If we see this guy, who do we call to get the fastest response? The guy on your flyer?
911 at this point.
And that could go Stockton and... Okay.
Well, it would be routed right back to us, though.
Okay. The second question, are we able to put together a private fund, community fund, to help the department?
Well, right now
they do that in Beverly Hills and other areas.
Right now we have the Friends of the Calaveras Sheriff's Office, FOXO. They're the ones that they're a 501c3, they're a nonprofit, so it's tax deductible for you folks. And those monies, FOXO hangs on to the money, and when we need equipment, we purchase it. Buster, our dog, he was purchased with FOXO money. We're working on another dog right now. In fact, I talked to the captain about it today, and they're going to be ordering the dog. So that money will be also coming from FOXO. So if you want to make donations, FOXO would be your vehicle to do that.
Can we hire private detectives?
No, they have to be sworn peace officers.
Okay. And then my last question on these misdemeanors, is there a limit to how many they can have before it becomes serious?
That is what I'm in the process of working with the State Sheriff's Association and these other entities on Prop 47 to change that once they hit 3, it automatically becomes a felony.
Okay, thank you.
So they're in the process.
Okay. I have a couple concerns I'd like to raise. I'm a female business owner in this town, and I work by myself a lot. And I've reached out to the sheriff's office because we've seen some sketchy stuff happening around us. And the other woman that's in my business, in my building rather, has her own business, feels the same way. And we were told, go ahead and call if you see something. If you have 3 deputies covering a county of this size, how can we realistically feel safe and call and expect that somebody's going to be here? Do you have cooperative agreements with some of the other law enforcement, be it federal or state, that are going to be helping you? Because I realize that you are kind of bound by how many people that you have, and given that you've got West Point, you've got Valley Springs. We are not Valley Springs. Our people are different than Valley Springs. And I feel that we get pushed out because of the higher intensity crime that you might feel needs attention, be it in Copperopolis, be it in Valley Springs, be it in West Point, be it in Mountain Ranch, be it in San Andreas. You're covering a lot of territory. I feel concerned about the safety of those 3 people that are responding. And I hope that you
Should be in my shoes.
You should be getting more than 1 more dog. There should not be a deputy out there without a dog, in my opinion.
Well, the problem with dogs is they're extremely expensive. They're expensive to maintain, and you just can't have every guy out there with a dog.
I agree that not every temperament.
I've got 2. I started with 1. Our dog program went away many, many years ago. I brought it back. I've got 2. I will work to get 3 and then maybe 4. Again, it all takes time and it's money. And it takes, now follow me here. It takes a special person that wants to have that dog to maintain that dog and have it with his family or her family for a long period of time. I have a sergeant now who started out as a deputy. We got him a dog. He promoted to corporal. He promoted to sergeant. He would like to maybe become a detective sergeant. I can't put him in detectives as a sergeant because the dog's going to sit in the office. So it limits his ability to promote through the ranks. So there's a whole lot more to it than just own a dog and I have a dog this week and then say, hey, Greg, you're taking the dog next week. It doesn't work that way.
I agree.
It's a small department.
I understand that not every deputy has the temperament to have a dog. Okay? That brings it back to our resident deputy who hasn't come around and introduced himself to some of us who have businesses and haven't had the interaction with him. And that I would ask to throw out that you do make the rounds and meet the business people, men and women, so you know who we are, because we do see a lot of people. I hear things because I am in the pet field, and I'm concerned about interactions that I've heard when they've called and there's been a dog-on-dog altercation or a person-on-dog altercation, and the response that was given. That raises a concern to me, and I feel that if that deputy were to come out and talk to me and we could clear the air, I could do goodwill with my clientele, saying you might have misunderstood what was going on, or you might have been spot on. But I haven't had that opportunity. And my last bit of crime, because we're touching on crime, kind of goes to the CHP. We have a lot of speeders up on Highway 4, and we don't have very much people stopping those speeders. And I would like to see or hear what proactive measures we can take or the CHP can take to help us with that. We like people to come up and visit our county. We like them to come through and go up to Alpine County to Bear, but we do not want them coming into town at 60, 70 miles an hour because our speed limit went up to 45. And in San Jose, San Leandro, Walnut Creek, going 45 means you go 70. It doesn't work that way up here, and we need some enforcement help to show that that doesn't work up here.
Okay, let me answer your dog question, and I'll turn over to CHP. As far as dogs go, the Sheriff's Department is not in charge of animal services. If you have a dog-on-dog fight, that is animal services, not the Sheriff's Office. We deal with people now. We used to deal with dogs, but now we deal with people. If you have a dog that bites a human, technically, that is an animal services call. Now, if somebody sicks their dog onto a person, that's a different type of crime. So dog on dog or dogs out roaming around causing havoc in the neighborhood is not a sheriff's office call. And I don't want to seem rude here, but we have so many people crimes. When we get calls from people who say there's dogs running in the neighborhood, we are not the dog catcher.
We are people catchers.
When the person is out with a dog and another person comes up and hits their dog or kicks their dog,
That's not what you said before. That's that's animal cruelty. Okay, that's different. That's animal cruelty. When you said that a dog on dog or a dog bites somebody, you didn't say that before. So I may be old, but I pretty much pay attention. Okay, so let me turn it over to CHP about your speeding.
Hello, I am your resident CHP officer, one of them, and I am up here 24/7. I have a set schedule, and then I am on call all night. So if there is something going on, they can call me at home and I will respond from my house. I do work directly with Burnett on a regular basis. I monitor the SO's calls. Just so you do know, if I hear something come out on the scanner or I'm in contact with him and I know that he's a little bit farther than I am, I will respond to assist him, or I will respond to take care of that call before he gets there, whichever it is. Speeders, we are actively trying to catch speeders. Problem is, most of them are out-of-towners. So a lot of them are used to driving in the Bay Area, where they do drive fast all the time. They don't understand the hill roads. They don't understand the wildlife. I'm not saying it's a defense, but we try. There's only one of me during the day, usually up here. So there's a lot more of them than me. I stop them as much as I can. If you do see a specific area where you are having traffic complaints, call our office down in San Andreas. They will take down the complaint. We need dates, times, just whenever it's a continual thing. And we will set up areas where we watch those areas. Just not too long ago, we had problems over there in Hathaway Pines, people passing in the left turn lane. I know they still do, but we do now watch that area a lot more. I know that I've gone out there, sat over by the post office, and watched, and I've got several people doing it. It's just sad that some of them are actual locals. Yes.
Hi, I don't really have a question, but since you're in higher control, I would want to point out that for the last 2 years, that another big problem that we're having up here are the big rigs coming through town, flying through town 6570, jake braking at 3:30 in the morning. Between 3:30 and 4 in the morning, I hear them every day almost.
Yes, and that's, we've had those complaints elsewhere in the county as well. And what we have done, we've asked our commercial officer, he comes up from the Stockton area office, and he was coming up, I believe, every Tuesday and Thursday before. Now he's doing it sporadic, and sporadic times so that the truckers don't know, the loggers mostly, don't know when he's going to be here. And he'll open the scales as well as just do traffic stops. In regards to Officer Wilkinson here, and the staffing up here in the Evans Pass Resident Post is what the name of it is. So you folks know, in the last couple of years, we've seen several retirements out of the San Andreas office, which we are slowly backfilling. I believe my last count, we're down only 2 bodies now. So what that does is that frees up more officers from the area to be able to come up and help Josh out up here on the Highway 4 corridor, especially during the snow season and in the summer season when everyone's coming up for camping.
Any further questions? Tim? You got another question?
And Nick Ferguson from Arnold. I have several questions here and concerns. I was told that you do have a neighborhood watch up here, and who do we call to contact that and to start it in our area?
Let's go question by question. Your first question, Joel Burnett, right here. When we get done this evening, come up and speak with him.
And also, is it possible to set up a Guardian Angels chapter in Arnold?
We have no control over that.
And then who do we call to handle civil crimes?
What type of civil crime?
It's like just dispute with neighbors or?
That would be us. Sheriff's Office, 754-6500. If it's an emergency, 911.
And then I remember there was a volunteer sheriff's car that drove through our town. Is that still existing? Or
We still have
need volunteers for locals to kind of police or
well, let me tell you what the volunteers do. We do have a volunteer program. We have about 27 volunteers, and there is an office right here, just over from Subway at the Big Trees Market. There's a substation there. We're always looking for more volunteers. Some of the things they do some paperwork in the office for us. They man the substation. So if somebody wants to come in and leave a complaint, or if you're going to go on vacation and you want your vacation home or your home checked, or if it's a vacation home, you can fill out some forms or a form, and the volunteers will do drive-bys to keep an eye on your business and or residents. So, oh, we have the You're Not Alone program for the elderly, that the volunteers will go out and talk to the elderly also. So the program is fantastic. I got one more.
Another function that the volunteers do, we have a search and rescue team that's based up here. There's some members in here today. We're always looking for new members. We have people on the team that didn't know what a rope was, and now they're out looking for people. So if anybody's interested, we're always taking applications. Please come join us. It's a community group, and they do a lot of good work.
They've been very successful at finding people. Sure.
I just wanted to encourage both you and Mike that when you look for the special tax, the law enforcement special tax, that perhaps we look at it from a special district perspective, because countywide taxes are very difficult, as you guys know, to pass. And I know me personally, I would be willing to vote for a tax if I knew it would be for Arnold to increase, sheriff's deputies' presence here in Arnold. So that might be an easier way to pursue that, is to break it down to a special district.
As much as I would say that that's a fantastic idea, can you imagine the heat that I would take if you guys passed a special tax and I told Valley Springs, hey, sorry, you're not going to get as many sheriff services? I mean, I understand that the special tax is for the area, but realistically, it needs to be a countywide tax. I need to be able to cover the whole county, and I believe the rest of the county is on board. I really do.
Hi, I'm sorry I was late coming, but can you just say, is there a substantial increase in crime compared to what in the past, or is it just about the same? What precipitated the meeting?
It averages, but typically throughout the United States, November, December are upticks in crime, because there's more people that are gone, there's more people that have presents under their tree, there's more things going on, and there's more people out and about, so it makes police officers busy, or busier, I should say. So it is a combination of a lot of things, but again, there's always an uptick in those couple of months, and you'll watch now it's going to start settling back down again, especially once we get Mr. Terry off the highways here. Okay, it looks like we're pretty much done on the safety. We've been here for an hour and a half. I'm sure folks have kids. Let's talk for a half an hour about marijuana if you want. I don't want to get super indulged in it. It's something that what has happened is we have a ban for the youth folks that don't know that. To kind of give you some timelines, in 30 days it will become effective, and in 90 days everybody has to come into compliance. So you have 120 days. That puts you to about the middle of May. And on June 5th, we're going to have an election, and it looks like you're going to have either a ban to choose from or regulations to choose from. So my personal opinion is this should have gone to the voters 2 years ago. Okay? So it really should have. So with that being said, I'll open it up to some questions. None? Perfect.
Just a quick question, because I always have this, whether it's legal or not legal, it will be here. So, in your opinion, or the police enforcement, is it better to have the money coming in because you're still going to have the illegal grows no matter what?
The illegal grows are not going to go away.
Right.
I know that.
But you'll have more money that way to fight them, so is that good or bad?
You're talking about for regulations. Regulations will bring money into the county, so that will give us more money, but it still is going to fall back to the Board of Supervisors, and it's going to fall back to you citizens now, which it should be. You guys are going to have to make that choice. Do you want marijuana to be legal in the county, or do you not? If you do, then we'll have some extra monies. If you don't, then we need to look at other avenues, like the tax. So there are other avenues other than marijuana. It's going to fall back to the community as to what they want to do.
Amy Byway again. If we banned pot all in general, then there's people like me who are medical patients that will not be able to grow their own outdoor pot.
Okay, well, I'm going to stop you right now. I don't want to get into this type of a conversation. You can grow 6 plants per state of California law.
Will that change after the ban?
No. And just so people know that Prop 64 allows anybody to grow, anybody over 21, to grow up to 6 plants.
Outdoors or indoors?
That's going to depend on, right now it's either or. Until we have some type of regulatory program that decides one way or the other. By law, by California state law now, I cannot stop anybody from growing their 6 plants indoors. I can stop them outdoors if we have an ordinance. But the way it stands right now is you can grow it indoors or outdoors, but only 6 plants per property. So if you have 10 people in the house that are over 21, you can grow 6 plants. That no law enforcement has any authority over. That's state law.
And then my other question is, if we do ban it, or if we do make it only indoor, aren't you guys concerned about fires?
Absolutely, and that was brought up at the last board meeting, and that's why I brought fire in on it. And again, that is something that will be addressed in an ordinance if and when it goes to the election.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
As a law enforcement entity, how does the sheriffs and the police departments, how do they feel? What would they see should happen because of, if you're banning the cultivation of this stuff?
Again, that's a tough question. Do you regulate it and bring in money? I went to the state of Colorado. The state of Colorado said, don't do it. It's going to bring in a lot of money. It's going to cause a lot of problems. If you ban it, then you have to find another avenue for money. Back to the tax. And I have had multiple people tell me that they're willing to pay a tax to not have marijuana. Again, that's not my choice. I do not make the laws. This man and the other 4 people make the laws, and you people now have the ability to make the laws. So it's going to fall back to you. Yes?
Are the legal commercial growers the best source for identifying the illegal growers at your point?
I don't know that they're the best source, but they are absolutely a source. They do give us information because it's competition, and those folks are paying fees to grow legally, and then you have the guy next door who's not growing legally. So we have gotten that information. But we have new technologies to where especially when it's outdoors, we have a lot of information. And then back to the indoor stuff, indoor seasons right now. People think that marijuana is done, but people are growing indoors. If you're not watching our Facebook page, we're in Valley Springs all over the place. We were at one today. We were at one the day before. It's never ending. And those are pure illegal grows. And the way we find those is by the neighbors calling and saying, hey, there's a lot of people going in and out of this house. So we do our surveillance, and then the marijuana team goes out and they do their investigation, and then they go get a search warrant and get it out of there.
Are those mostly organized Chinese crime?
Some are, some aren't. It varies. It is. Yes, sir.
I'm from San Jose, and dealing with the inside grows,
some of the problems are the people who have these, like in the garages, they had lights on, but it's all blacked out. And the only way you can tell is looking at the meter. Yeah, and it's spinning like a top, and you know there's something wrong here. When the average person, or the average household, say 4, the meter only goes so far, uses so much energy. Wouldn't that be kind of a signal? Or you know the lights are on all the time, and somebody says, hey, that house has the lights on all the time. What's your chances of you being able to get PG&E, say, look at the meter and let me know what's the usage, and if it comes down real soon?
My sergeant just took me under the bus. No,
the usage is low, and you know the lights are on, there's something wrong, because I've known fires caused in San Jose because they bypass the meter.
They do. They'll take a pair of automotive jumper cables and bypass the meter. I saw that when I was working up here. I used to live right here in Lakemont Pines on Stake Drive, and there was a guy down the street doing that. It's the issue is that we don't have the ability to monitor PG&E. Now, years ago, when I was a deputy, I had a friend of mine who worked at PG&E, and he'd call me and say, hey, Rick, you need to check this place. You know, we just got a PG&E bill, $700. Okay, $700 in the middle of spring is unrealistic, especially in Arnold. You know, there's no air conditioning, there's no heater really going on. But those days are gone. We don't have the ability to tap into PG&E so much. We rely on you folks to tell us about the traffic. And, you know, you talk about the windows all being blacked out. Yes, that's a clue. We put our marijuana team on it, and they monitor it. They start watching the traffic, and then they go from there.
What about a house in the neighborhood? The windows are, the blinds are always down. You don't see, but lights are on the house 24 hours a day, upstairs and downstairs.
My daughter does that at my house. No, she's not growing.
So what you're saying are some very good indicators, and I don't want to get into all of our tricks of the trade, but it's not just one thing we look at. And to go into somebody's house, we get a search warrant, we have a judge sign off on it, the district attorney sign off on it, so we take it very seriously when we go into somebody's home. So we don't just look at one thing, oh my God, the PG&E's high or their windows are boarded up. We do our investigation, we have our tricks and what we go by. And we use those, but those are some indicators, definitely.
Would you have to go through a court order to get PG&E to get that information for you?
Yes. Yes, and we have other ways that's just as fruitful with less effort.
Okay. So I know if you're driving under the influence of alcohol, you've got a way that you can test for that. Is there anything to test driving under the influence of marijuana?
Right now, CHP has offered to teach a class to every law enforcement officer in the state of California to be what we call drug recognition awareness person. So there is a way for us to do field sobriety tests at this point in time. There are some machines that I have personally seen that they are working on. We know right now that 0.08 you are legally impaired. It's going to take some time to get the statistics together for the state of California to say, okay, at this, whatever their level is, to be under the influence of marijuana. And the folks that I've talked to, and seeing how I've kind of indulged myself into this marijuana program a little bit, kind of figure out what's going on, they're telling me that we're a few years away from having the machinery to actually do the testing. Now, they do have cotton swabs, we can check cheek swab. There's other things to do, but it doesn't tell us if you're impaired. It goes back to the officer and their training and experience to know whether they feel you're impaired or not.
So what is the chance of prosecuting somebody based on the officer's
Our conviction rate on officers who are, we don't just arrest people arbitrarily, and nor does the CHP. There are indicators, there are tests. It's just like if you're under the influence of alcohol, there are certain tests that they have you do, then they have you blow in the machine. The test that we do prior to that, with our training and experience, is going to be sufficient, and the DA will prosecute on those. So don't smoke and drive. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is probably for Mike.
Oh, good. Here, let me give you the mic so that everybody gets to hear it. I love when they throw Mike under the bus.
Okay, so if it goes before the vote, they're putting up an initiative, right, by February, and it's supposed to get voted on in June, right?
No.
That's what the paper said.
Let me clarify a couple of things. I'll probably need a microphone for this. No, you can keep that.
Well, let me also, then you can incorporate
Okay,
what I want to know. If they vote for this, to pass this, are you guys going to put some regulation together?
Okay, here's the situation, ladies and gentlemen. At the board meeting last, yesterday, was it yesterday? I've lost track. It was yesterday. The ban resolution was accepted by a majority vote of the Board of Supervisors. That is in place. There's a waiting period of 30 days until that becomes an effective, enforceable ordinance. After that vote was taken and that procedure is in place, there is a ban in Calaveras County for commercial cultivation of marijuana. The state law, Prop 64, with recreational use, is still effective in Calaveras County. And once we accept the final reading of the ordinance as a Board of Supervisors in 30 days, that becomes enforceable law. What I did...
For cultivation?
For cultivation and other issues. Transportation, under the county ordinance. But there are state laws that address transportation that this county cannot affect. Okay, we can make things more restrictive, but we can't supersede state law. That's what the sheriff was talking about. The confusion rests with the board poll I initiated to get this on the ballot and put both initiatives on the ballot. One, the band initiative. The other one, the suggested initiative by our planning commission as it was presented to the board. It was not accepted as a motion. The board did vote, or did poll, to bring that and take a look at it at our next meeting. So we can put that on the ballot. But the board has to review that as a board. And a majority vote has to be taken at the next meeting to see if we can't put that on the ballot. If that is completed and successful, then in the June election, if we meet our timelines and our deadlines, that issue will be on the ballot and you'll be able to choose, depending on the decision of the majority of the board, whether to vote for a ban or whether to vote for a regulated ordinance. So what's the importance of all this? Well, it boils down to this, ladies and gentlemen. Any decision by a Board of Supervisors, any ordinance or regulation can be modified or terminated or eliminated by a board of the vote. Any ordinance or any law voted on by the people can only be modified, terminated, or eliminated by another vote of the people. That's the difference. It takes the control, if you will, if you want to call it that, from a group of a Board of Supervisors that changes over election cycles, if you stick with us on this. Different boards have different views, but we've seen that here. But the vote of the people is still the vote of the people. Now, as the sheriff said, we tried to get this person, I tried to get it on the ballot a couple of years ago. I haven't been able to do that. I am very satisfied that our board, present board, will listen to it and look at it. But I've also got to be fair. The decision of the board yesterday was a majority of the board. And that's going to be law. That's where we stand, folks.
Change the board.
Nothing. I'm not here to advocate anything about changing the board. I can only talk for myself. And I will talk for myself. The bottom line is, my personal position is we should have voted this 2 years ago. And I am going to support that position. Can I answer any questions about that issue? Great. Is there any other questions I can answer about the board's involvement with the marijuana? Now, other than that, I'm going to turn it back to the sheriff. Excellent.
All right, well, I thank everybody for coming out. I appreciate it, and rest assured that the sheriff's office is working diligently on catching these folks. We're going to use every law enforcement trick that we have to get these guys off the street. Please, 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 lock your cars, lock your houses, and if you see something, don't hesitate. Please call us. Nothing is too small. Like Sergeant Stark said, that what you might think is insignificant as a barking dog that normally doesn't bark could be that piece of the puzzle that we need to wrap this thing up. So thank you for taking the time to come out, and you guys have a nice evening. Real quick, for those folks that need to talk to Joel, go ahead and come on up and get a hold of him.
Stand up so straight, John.